2026 is objectively hell, but how's my bingo board from hell looking? Excuse the really boring background, I'm trying to move house, so there's no personality in the background at all. I'm just gonna have a quick update of my bingo board from hell. So I'll make space for it. So at the start of the year, I wanted to read 5 big books, which I classed as being over 500 pages. I wanted to read enough of my NetGalley arcs to get my response rate to 60%. I wanted to finish 3 ongoing series and read 5 classics. And I wanted to read 100% of my 2026 purchases. I wanted to read all of the Kindle Audible books on those apps because I'm phasing it out. And I had, I think, 36 books in my TBR jar, like little bits of paper. I wanted to read all of those, and I wanted to reread 5 books that I'd read before, because I don't reread books that often, but I thought it'd be nice. I also wanted to do 6 buddy reads, so we'll see how I've gone so far. It's been like, you know, half the year. So big books. I have read 2 big books over 500 pages, and they are the 2 big books I had to read for her kid. I ended up listening to the Overstory by Richard Powers, and I also read the Paper Girls compendium of all the Paper Girls graphic novels or comics. I should probably have thoughts on them. I really liked Paper Girls, it was really cool. I was a bit bored of the Overstory. I wonder if I'd have had a physical copy, whether I would have just kind of given up on it. Maybe. So yeah, my kingdom for a big book that is unputdownable now, because I need to read 3 more. I'm not against reading a classic if it's like really engaging. I think there's some long classics I could read, but yeah, this is not my safe space. Big books are not a safe space for me. I cannot finish them, or I'm just not excited, or I just don't even start. And like, there are big books in the world which I absolutely loved, like A Little Life. I know it's problematic, but I couldn't stop reading it when I was reading it. Like, I could not put it down. I'd be walking down the street reading it. So I need something like that. I need something that's like incredibly good, like that really brings me in. Now, I wanted to get my NetGalley response rate to 60%, and as of halfway through the year, I'm on 51%. I believe I started the year at like high 40s, so I haven't gone backwards, but it's not going very well because I did request a load of books. Now I have to read them. This is the problem. Every time I borrow a book, I request a book on NetGalley now, this is going down. So I have to start reading them. I did end up reviewing Ancestors, which is a NetGalley book I requested multiple years ago, but I did end up just reading it and feeding back, and that does count, I think, so that's extremely satisfying. I also read some graphic novels like 'Tis Thee, Not Me, The Book of Murmurs, Mr. Magic. The Wes Anderson one wasn't very good, but you know, Emotional Support Animals was good, and I ended up buying it. First Freedom, the Opal Lee book, was fantastic. I didn't ask for this, which was about like kids whose parents make them be influencers to have an income. Pink Monsters was really beautiful, really nice art style. And then Lindsay Cheng Dates a White Boy was really fun and cool. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Scott Pilgrim, but better. Oh yeah, I also got the annotated edition of Genderqueer as a NetGalley. I already read Genderqueer, so technically this is a reread. Maybe I should have put it on the rereads. But the annotated edition is beautiful. I would consider buying it as well because it's just stunning. What a great book. Everyone should read Genderqueer. Please read it. Please read it. If you read one book I'm talking about here. And then other books, I did get the arc of And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I hadn't read the first one, but I have now. And it was good. It was fine. Good Luck Babe was another like romance. That was a YA, and it was fine. Yeah, nothing blew me away. I really enjoyed 200 Monas, which was an audiobook. And Genderqueer Menopause was a really cool book, which I really recommend to anyone who's genderqueer and wants to know more about the menopause. It just seems like a basket of shit, but there's no real positive vibes with that, I don't think. Menopause seems to be a bad time, but at least I know a bit more about it. And then Bad Queer by Gaia Theory, Kamala Kantham. Now, that was a YA, but it was prose, and it was amazing, and I mentioned it in my book freakout tag. It's definitely a 5-star. Probably the best book out of all of these, yeah. And obviously there's Genderqueer. Those two books are like the ones that I loved the most. Okay, finish 3 series or read up to publication. I did read the Grievers trilogy, or the Black Dawn trilogy, I think it's called. I did, as I said, end up reading both of the B.K. Borison books in the same series. There might end up being another one. I don't know if there is. I'm not a super big B.K. Borison fan, but maybe I'll read it if it comes out. I found these to both be fine. I didn't hate them. I didn't love them. I think I preferred the second one with the weather people. Like, so it's like a weather guy. I think it was a Grumpy Sunshine trope. I really enjoyed that couple and their like relationship a lot more than in the First Time Caller one. I did finish the Game Changers series up to publication. I think there's another one coming like this year or next year, maybe, probably, unsurprisingly, after all the hype of the TV show, which was actually great. I did finish the Sheets trilogy, and I read I don't know what this is this called Monk and Robot or something? The Becky Chambers duology with the Psalm for the Wild Bill and a Prayer for the Crown Shy. So I did read that series, although I do genuinely feel like they could have just been one book. That would have been fine. Technically it was 2 books, therefore I finished the series. I wanted to read 5 classics, and I have shockingly read loads of classics already. I don't know how that happened. I think mostly because Herkiad meant that there was reasons to read these. And what the Ballad of the Sad Cafe was like one of my physical TBR. I didn't love it. I want to read something else by that author just so that I can like find one I like, because I'm sure I'll like one of the books by them. The Picture of Dorian Gray was also on my physical TBR, and the rest of them were, I think I ended up doing audiobooks. It's wild how much I've been reading audiobooks this year. Yeah, it's wild to me. It's truly wild. The Clockwork Orange one I've already mentioned in other videos. I think that was probably my favourite, and also John Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie. The Monday or Tuesday book I read for Herkiad, and because it had the word or in it, and he did that for my quote, and there wasn't that many books with or in that didn't look completely rubbish. It's a short story collection, and a couple of the stories were incredible, and most of the stories were just kind of like fine. I actually reread The Turn of the Screw as well, I think, so maybe that counts as a reread. I don't know if it was a reread, actually. Basically, I think I read it for school, but I don't think we read like the whole book, so maybe that doesn't count as a reread. That was another one I read for the Herkiad quote. I did not really enjoy it that much. It was fine. A Chess Story was not as good as I wanted it to be. I thought it was going to be amazing, and it was fine. Much Ado About Nothing I read for Herkiad. Yeah, so many of these books I read because of Herkiad, and it's cool because I wanted to read books, and a lot of them were good. I did start The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and I ended up DNFing it because it was intolerable. I just couldn't be bothered. I'd recently read James by Percival Everett, and it had been incredible, and I wanted to read the original, and I just, no thanks. I'm alright. I don't care about this version. I'm sorry, America. But no. Read 100% of 2026 purchases. Yeah, so I did purchase the Black Dawn trilogy because I could not find it anywhere. It's just one of them things where it's like a really small press. You can barely find it. I had to buy them all secondhand. on eBay, or I think I got one of them on Vinted actually. So yeah, the Retta book I'd gotten on eBay secondhand. Lights I got on eBay secondhand. I mostly buy books on eBay. In fact, all of them are from eBay secondhand, apart from Emotional Support Animals, which I did get from my local like comic slash graphic novel shop. And some of these I haven't kept. I didn't keep the Retta book or the Vagina Problems book, although it was interesting. I just passed it on. But I kept the rest of them, so that's exciting. I want to buy books that I end up wanting to keep. Like, that is great, because a lot of the time I don't want to keep books afterwards, and so yeah, let's avoid that. Read all Kindle/Audible books. I've realised I've got one book on Audible left, and it is a Christmassy book. So I feel like I am just not going to do that until maybe December, which is frustrating because it means I'm not going to make any progress on this until the end of the year. And I think I do have a book on Kindle, so I need to read that. I will get around to it. Okay, read DNF or yeet entire TBR jar. So there were 36 little strips of paper in my TBR jar representing 36 physical TBR books. And I have read 9 of them, which is incredible for me. Like, I mean, it could have been better, but you know, I'm pleased because some of these have been on there for a while. I read The Ballad of the Sad Cafe, like I said, it was fine. But it wasn't great. It was quite short. I think it was actually like one longish story and then some other short stories. So there wasn't like, maybe a longer book by this author would get me more. And then I did, as I said, read The Overstory, which I did have as a physical TBR book. I've donated it now because I ended up listening to the audiobook. I don't want to keep it. Paper Girls. So that was exciting because that's been on my physical TBR for a few years. I read We All Want Impossible Things by Catherine Newman. That was really good. I really recommend that. And that was as part of a Hercule 1 prompt to read things, recommendations by small YouTubers. And the small YouTuber in question was Your True Shelf. Shout out to other people from the UK. And then Angels in America, Tony Kushner, was a book I finished. It's a play, but I still read it. And then All About Love by Bell Hooks. I ended up listening to the audiobook and annotating the physical book. I'm keeping the physical book to reread because I will reread it at some point. I also read Bad Behaviour by Mary Gateskill. I was so disappointed by this. I thought this was going to be way more interesting than it was. It was a series of short stories. I just wasn't really that interested. It was fine, but it wasn't super interesting. Heroines on Horseback, which was the non-fiction history of books about horses and ponies, and I read it after so long, and then someone snapped it up on Vinted because it's not a book you can find very easily, so I was really pleased that someone else is going to get to enjoy that now. And I listened to the audiobook of Saving Time by Jenny Odell, which was really nice to get to, but disappointing because I had bought the physical book from like an independent bookshop in hardback. It was £25, and I ended up listening to the audiobook. So that's really something to think about when I'm like on holiday and there's a fancy bookshop and I want to buy a fancy book. Would I prefer to listen to the audiobook? Think about it, Ingrid. It's just disappointing. I don't mind listening to more audiobooks than I used to, but it just is a reason to not buy books immediately if I think maybe, especially with non-fiction, I feel like it's really nice to listen to the audiobook sometimes because it's kind of just like a long-form podcast. I wanted to reread 5 books. Now, I'm not going to count The Ton of Screw because I think when I was a kid we didn't read the whole book. But I did reread Beach Read by Emily Henry, which I believe is my favourite Emily Henry book. I can't remember. I think it is though. And then I listened to the audiobook of Roald Dahl's James and the Giant Peach. Okay, let's just be very clear. Fuck Roald Dahl. However, this was read by James Acaster, who's a legend. So I did want to listen to it, and I was going to go see his stand-up, so I thought that'd be fun. And James and the Giant Peach is a good story. I think it does still hold up. But yeah, sod Roald Dahl. Don't buy his books. I mean, he's dead now, but you know. So I did. I wanted to read 6 buddy reads, and I've done 4. I listened to Bad Taste for a book group and Lola Rose with my partner, and honestly, that book is traumatic as hell. I read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison and Kindred by Octavia E. Butler with my partner. We both read them, and I'm not here to rate things, but Kindred was probably my favourite book out of all these books so far. I've got a couple more that I am planning to read as a buddy read, and maybe I'll join a book group at some point, who knows. So here we are. Yeah, I've done 2 big books. I need to read 3 more. I need to read some NetGalley books. I don't need to worry about series, but I think I'm kind of into some books now that are in series, so maybe I'll just keep going with that one. I'm smashing the classics, maybe I'll read some more. Need to read more of my 2026 purchases. I think that I've now bought 20, so that's okay. Could be better, could be worse. Very non-committal commentary from me here. I do have 2 books on Kindle or Audible to read, and I probably might read one over the summer, but yeah, the Audible one I'm probably going to wait till Christmas. Read entire TBR jar. I have managed to do 17 out of 36, so that's pretty good. We're over halfway there. I think that is over halfway there, isn't it? No, it's not. We're not even halfway there. Get a move on, Ingrid. I'm going to reread 3 more books, hopefully. And I'm going to read 2 more buddy reads, so we will just see how this all pans out. I'm quite pleased with how I'm doing, but like I feel like some of these things I thought were going to be really hard and haven't been, i.e. the classics and the series. But then I knew that the series could be hard, so I didn't want to make it too high. And I didn't want to overwhelm myself with the classics, but I think it just turns out that I have incidentally just read more classics. So maybe I should bump that up to read 15 classics. But yeah, I think everything else is going fine, and I'm pleased with how it's going. And the only one I really don't want to do is the NetGalley one. It's my fault. It's my fault for requesting things. Stop requesting things and then not reading them. Stop having ADHD, Ingrid. Oh my god, it's that simple. I'll just decide to not be this person. I am joking. Thanks for watching. I make some videos about books. That's literally it. So if you like that kind of stuff and I'm not really annoying, maybe subscribe because it would make me super happy, because I've been doing it for a year now. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Win, who created this bingo board at Literary Diversions, and is extremely cute and cool. And having extremely cute and cool graphics does help me care about these things, because I don't know, I'm just blinded by beauty, I guess. Have fun.